First, I want to start off with a joke. Did you hear of the 5 constipated men in the Bible? So Cain wasn't able. All right. Moses took 2 tablets. Okay. Balaam, and this is in the scripture, y'all. Numbers 22 and 23. Balaam had trouble with his ass. He had a donkey that just wouldn't listen. Okay? And as you see, it gets worse and worse. Okay? So King Solomon sat on the throne for 40 years. 40 years, y'all. You might need to see about that. All right? And so King David said, "There's no power on heaven or earth that can move him." That's when you just won't let go.
Come on, man.
All right. So just something to kind of get started, y'all. All right. So y'all, we just passed through Thanksgiving. How many of y'all had a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
You ate too much. It was almost like Thanksgiving number 2 right here around 2 tonight, right? And you know, Thanksgiving, y'all. So everyone, you know, we eat and all this, but what is Thanksgiving really about? Okay. Of course, we want to thank God for the things we have in our life and our family, but how detailed can we get with a Thanksgiving gratitude list? Like, who wants to take a cold shower? How about a hot water heater? Y'all see where I'm going with this? Yo, we could get into the most detailed Thanksgiving list possible. But for me, y'all, I never saw the gratitude in my life until I hit rock bottom. I was never truly able to grab the things in my life and say, man, I'm really appreciative of my bride right there. After going through some horrible relationships, me being one of them in my first relationship, I got hooked on drugs and alcohol. So at the age of 17, y'all, I'm from Delcom. I had a pretty good athletic career. Okay, I had some places that I could have gone for college, football, track. I was an academic athlete, made straight A's, and I was at the state track meet my junior year in Baton Rouge. And I had 4 events and did amazing on all 4 of my events. This is my junior year. To be participating in all 4 events at a state track meet was something to say for, okay? And at the time, my dad was undergoing pancreatic cancer. He was at the Cancer Treatment Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And my uncle went up there to stay with him, and my mom came down to watch the track meet. Well, after the track meet was over with, she standing on the track, had all these medals on my neck. I mean, I just felt amazing, y'all. It was like the highest point of my life. I trained really hard that year. I mean, I was like high hurdles, open quarter, things like that. And I felt so amazing. I just wished my dad could be there. Well, my mom comes on the track, and little did I know my dad had started hemorrhaging to the point where he was gonna die. They had him on a machine. So the last I heard was a regional district track meet. They did a surgery on him to remove the tumor. Tumor had some little fingers that kind of grew into his liver and all the different things. And so what ended up happening was on the incision, he just started bleeding. They couldn't get it to stop. So my mom kept trying to say, you know, your dad would be so proud of you. But she just said, baby, we have to get on the plane. Your dad is not going to make it. So y'all, I went from the highest place in my life to the lowest. Now, as a young man, I was kind of upset because everyone in my family knew that he was going to die, except me. Don't tell Kern. You know, he got a meet. We don't want to mess up his meet. So I never got to really talk to my dad. And you know, looking back, my dad was a military guy. He wasn't the I love you kind of guy, right? But looking back, and of course in my mind, I start to think all these things like, man, I could have just told him, you know, I loved him or something. I mean, y'all could have given me the opportunity. So what I'm trying to say is there's my first incident with filing away something or calling a season what it really isn't, you know. So I'm thinking, oh, my dad died. Well, because my dad died, then I got this huge entitlement. I could do what I want. I could smoke what I want. I could do the drugs I want. I could be with whoever I want. And every person that was in my life felt that shrapnel, right? Because it was like a grenade. I had literally so much entitlement, but I was successful. So here I am with a high-functioning addict, right? I still did good in college. I moved off to New Orleans. That's where I started becoming a funeral director. So I declined all of the things. I wanted to be an orthodontist, a dentist, and all this. And Father Tom Voorhees in Delcom at the time kept saying, Kern, there's an anointing on your life. I don't know what it is, but you ever thought about being a deacon or a priest? I'm like, you know, I have 4 sisters. I'm the only boy. I think I want some children and everything. And I never could see myself doing all the things that I did before because like I shared that dream with my dad. So even if it was football or track or whatever it was, I just completely did a complete shift in my life. went to college in New Orleans, and I started boxing with a guy in the gym. And I was good at it. So slowly but surely, I kind of got involved in MMA, then this underground kind of fight club kind of thing, because it paid more. But it was like, you fought 2 or 3 fights, and it was like in a parking garage, and it was just all these guys betting all this money. And so at the time, I didn't know it yet, but I was fighting in the wrong arena, right? I was fighting for the wrong people. So here we go. So I started off in the prison ministry, in the funeral business, but then started fighting. I wanted to help everybody, but didn't know how to grieve on my own, right? I didn't know how to take care of myself. Anybody? Yeah? You take care of everybody else, but you last? Okay. So I didn't know what self-care was. Especially being from Delcom, I didn't know what emotional intelligence was. Okay? You deal with emotions as a man in Delcom. You sit on a tailgate and you drink beer till it goes away, and then you wake up and you go to work the next day, right? Every man in my family in Delcom, that's what they did. We grew up on a farm. They sat on the tailgate of that truck, and fixing this tractor over here, but it's Schlitz beer the whole time. I mean, Dooley, go get me a beer. Dooley, go get me a beer. Go get 3. And so y'all continued to do that over and over and over again. And so it started a pattern in my life. I had to learn every single thing without my dad and everything. But I did not know anything about the gospel. Okay, I attended church. I did every rotary I could. I made my cursillo. I did everything I could, but y'all really never read the Bible. So I left the funeral business and I went to work in the oil and gas industry. And there was a Baptist guy working on the platform with me. He saw me do my little thing, and I put my head down and I said grace. And after I said that, he said, "Oh man, you a believer, huh?" I said, "Yes, sir, I am." He said, "Oh man, awesome. Tell me what's your favorite thing that Jesus said?" I didn't even know the Lord's Prayer was what Jesus said. I mean, when I'm telling y'all, like I said, I probably didn't pay attention in catechism, but it was mostly about the religion. Okay, I never really understood Jesus Christ. So still, I felt the nudging of God, but never did anything about it. Okay, so then I got hooked on drugs, y'all. I was awful. After getting beat up and everything, I started breaking bones. Then I met pain pills. Okay. Pain pills is a physical dependency. You become a slave to it. There's no way of getting out of it. I mean, you feel sick even just to get up and go to work. I ruined everything. I lost my job. I lost my family. I lost my wife. She took my child and went to New Orleans, rightly so. I was way out of my mind. I was doing all kind of stuff, y'all. And so at that moment, that was like my breaking point, I guess, with the physical dependency and the opioid dependency. I had to move back into my mom's in Delcom, which was the house I sold drugs in. I was like the drug dealer in Delcom, and so I moved back into this house. And I was so aggravated at the time I was on Suboxone that I said, you know what, I am going to get off of this and I'm going to do it by myself, and I'm not. That's a 28-day detox. People typically put you in some kind of behavior, some hospital to watch you to be able to take care of that. I did it at my mom's house. I started losing my mind, not sleeping, banging my head on the door, punching myself in the face because I was withdrawing so bad. That was the only thing that would make the pain stop. Well, of course, my mom and them were like, "You got to go." They called them the cops. I mean, they put me in a behavioral health hospital. And of course, in there, they were trying to medicate me and stuff. And I had to put myself in a room like, "Come, I dare you to come." So 3 guys come in there with a shot like, "You got to calm down, boy." And I'm like, "Bro, y'all don't even know." And I was naked. And I was like sitting in the corner. And I remember this, y'all, going back. And I'm thinking, dude, how out of your mind were you that the cops picked you up and put you in this place? But like I said, y'all, I was at the end of my rope, and I was there to break, but I wasn't quite broken. Okay, so tonight, that's kind of what I'm going to talk a little bit about, y'all, is when that happens. There's a scripture, or a quote, some places that say, sometimes God allows us to break our heart to save our soul. Anybody ever been there? Because I was so on the wrong path that had he not allowed my heart to be broken, then I would have never exceeded in my life. I would have never gone any higher than I was. Okay? And so, let's see here. So this is where I want to start, y'all. In Scripture, Jesus says, he takes a piece of bread, and then he prays a blessing, then he breaks it so that it could be useful in the kingdom. Okay? In the Scripture, in Luke 24:30 and 31, as they sat down to eat, he took the bread and blessed it. Then he broke it and gave it to them. Suddenly, their eyes were opened, and they recognized him. At that moment, he disappeared. Anybody ever felt like that was him? Like, not the bread, but like something happened in your life, and then all of a sudden, crickets. Like I thought I was walking with God, but then blindsided circumstance happens and everything, and then all of a sudden, okay, God, I'm talking to you, I'm praying, but I'm not hearing nothing back. Like, what am I supposed to do next? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Go talk to a pastor. And y'all, it was that silence, right? The silence can be deafening. And sometimes the silence causes us to push deeper into areas we would have never pushed. So my wife moves to New Orleans and puts a restraining order on me. So I can't talk to her or my daughter. And right before, 10 months into it, I got a year. I'm like, I'm off the Suboxone, I'm doing good, I'm cycling again, I'm training for a triathlon, I'm like on fire right now. I can't believe I lost my wife. Baby, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. So I sent her 4 love songs, one of them being our wedding song, and just a couple of other, like, you know, Love, Wayne Toops, whatever else. And then I'm in Celebrate Recovery at Our Savior's Church, and they told me that I need to write an apology letter to the people that I hurt. Well, of course, it was her dad. That was my job, to protect my little sweet bride. And I did everything but that. I was awful. I cheated. I stole money out of our account, used it on drugs. I mean, I lied to tell another lie. She couldn't trust me. She couldn't count on me. Rightfully so, she took my child and went to New Orleans. So 10 months, I sent her 4 love songs on YouTube and her dad an apology letter. Cops banging on my door in Delaware. They picked me up. That was violation of protective order. Okay, so I'm thinking, fired up. You're gonna put me in what? For sending some letters? Dude, she's crazy. All I did was send, did you break your restraining order? Yes or no? I did. Yeah, but dude, you don't. Yeah, but. I broke the law, and this is the consequences. They picked me up in Delco, took me to New Iberia, shaved my head, completely off, bald, for lice. After they shaved my head, I'm sitting there for 5 days because my wife lives in New Orleans. You can see where this is going. They picked me up, locked me in there for 5 days to be transported to New Orleans for court and all that stuff. New Orleans prison, y'all. I should say no more. That was probably, I have never seen so many manifestations of evil in my life. I was convinced. I have never seen, I don't care, people, the world might call them bipolar, they might call them whatever it is. I saw spiritual manifestations of Satan, y'all. I saw guys try to jump off a bunk this high, land on his head and commit suicide. Think about it. And get up and do it again and again. And after that, go lay down in the bathroom naked and try to drown himself in a little cup of water. Cough, 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 get up, fill it back up, lay down. I watched him do this at like 7 o'clock in the morning. And y'all, the craziest things I've ever seen in my entire life. I could probably spend my entire time sharing the little God links while I was in jail. I'm gonna keep it short. While I'm in jail, so I'm fighting, right? At this time I'm training, I'm trying to get back in the ring. My wife left me, I'm beating the speed bag in my mom's house. I mean, my neighbors are just like, this dude's off his rocker. Get on my bike, ride from Delco to Intracoastal City and back. It's 54 miles. Beat the speed bag again. I mean, I was just intense. Like, I'm going to get my family back. But I had a hot head, right? I was not emotional intelligent. I was not handling my life well, y'all, at all. I didn't understand even what that was. I didn't know it was the thing. I had to deal with some emotions in my life. So I got my commissary from New Iberia, and I'm walking in the jail. And right when the door opens, I'm walking in there with like my mattress, my socks, my jumpers, and all that stuff, and like some ramen noodles and some chips. Now I have it rolled up in, it's like an egg crate kind of thing with plastic on it. That's my mattress. As I'm walking in there, this big old dude, right when I pass, these guys you can imagine kind of come in like this, almost like a football team running through a tunnel. Right when I'm walking in, the little lady's like, okay, baby, what ward you from? Excuse me, I'm from Lafayette. Oh, baby. Okay, I'm gonna tell you, they're gonna test you. They're gonna test you. You stay to yourself, you hear me? You don't go around none of them boys, they're gonna try to take everything you got. I'm like, oh my God. So in New Iberia, they told me, bro, they're gonna test you. Y'all, it wasn't 2 minutes. Soon as I walk inside of there, this big old guy reaches down and grabs and like swats the ramen noodles and everything out of the back of my thing. Well, as soon as he goes down to pick it up, y'all, I kneed him, and when his head flew back, I punched him as hard as I could in his throat. I pretty much crushed his windpipe. So he's on the ground, all kind of stuff, all these guys back up. So I'm ready. I know that I'm gonna die here. The guard never even sees it. They start banging on the thing like this, they come in. Now nobody says a thing, right? It's like keep your mouth shut, loose lip sync ships, right? Keep your mouth shut in prison. So I go in my rack and I sit down in the rack. These dudes go in the bathroom, climb on top of the toilet, and then the light fixtures right here, they have shanks hiding in there. Start pulling the shank out and looking at me and doing like this. So I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't believe this. I'm gonna die here. You know what? I'm gonna die swinging. I got it from Delco. You don't even know. I'm about to, you know, I'm country. Like, I ain't gonna lay down on this. So I'm sitting down in my thing. Well, about 6 hours go by. The guy was in the infirmary to where he could finally talk. and they put so much pressure on him that he ratted me out. They put me in the hole. The hole is like literally where I believe Satan lives. The hole is where people of society that get kicked out of society, they go in jail. They get kicked out of the pot of jail to go like to the very last place. And like the misbehavior conduct is through the roof. So then I'm in the hole. Okay. I'm not gonna go into great detail because it is kind of gross. But they put us in some little pods, y'all. And needless to say, they come on the side of you, threaten you with a very gross batch of something in a jug and say, if you don't give me your food, I'm going to squirt this inside of your cell, because only one cell can get out and walk freely in the pod at a time. So this guy walks into my cell, and I'm sitting right here by Pastor on the bottom bunk, and he walks up and he says, give me a biscuit. I'm like, what, boy? Keep on walking. He takes the nasty stuff and squirts it inside of my cell, all over my food, my pants. Now I'm stuck in here. There's a toilet. There's not even a sink in there. You got to go in and out. So I'm sitting there with, they let their milk spoil, other bowel movements and everything inside of this jug, and let it sour and then squirt it on. Okay. So at that time, I'm like, dude, if I fight with this guy in my cell, just start slapping him, there's a good chance they're gonna, because I'm at the bottom of the bottom, like I'm in the basement. There is no like, put this dude, whatever. So I'm like, if I beat this dude up, they're gonna switch me in the cell, and I'm gonna land in the cell with that dude, and I'm like, I'm gonna beat him up and eat his biscuit for 3 days. Guess what happens? The next morning I wake up, I start slapping him so hard on top of his head. The guards come in there, bum rush me, throw me on the ground, lock me up, hog tie me, and drag me out. So guess what? That dude, and they know, those guards know. They went in there and grabbed the other guy and put him in the cell, but guess where I'm going? Okay? Now listen, this was a little cat. He was little, he was out of his head, but I ended up being in his cell. So y'all was ready to die. Okay. I go in the cell with the guy, and literally, you know, when you're trained to fight, you're not trying to hit somebody in the face. You're trying to break up bones, right? Ribs. He tried to kick me like this, and I snapped his foot. All the little things were just like, he's incapacitated. For 3 days, I was in there with this guy who didn't even talk. They tried to give me a Bible. I didn't want nothing to do with the Bible. So I did my 5 days. Had to go see the judge. You learned your lesson kind of thing, blah, blah, blah. Put me back in general population. That's the same pod I was in, where I just hit the dude. So he was like the pod leader, which I didn't know at the time. When I go back in there, I'm thinking, okay, dude, I'm ready. I don't care. I have to bring my stuff in there all over again. I had lost my commissary. I lost all my privileges. I had no more privileges. I go back in the pod, sitting in my same top rack all the way to the back. And here we go with the threatening stuff again. They give you one roll of toilet paper in there. I went to the bathroom, used the toilet paper. What y'all do when y'all finish with the toilet paper? You take it back to your bedroom, you leave it on the side of the thing. I walked away, they stole my toilet paper. Now I'm sitting, so listen, I'm like to the point where I'm just, you know what? So the next morning, I didn't sleep at all because I was so scared they were going to kill me in my rack. The next morning I woke up, I'm Catholic, I went in there praying in tongues, like I wanted them to think I was the craziest white, and I'm talking loud. Like, I mean loud praying in tongues in between the rosary, like all kind of gibberish, okay? Right when I walk out of that pod in the restroom with my stuff, there's a guy on the bottom rack, literally right where it opens up like this. And he says, hey, white boy, hey, white boy. And I was like, and he said, no. Listen, my son just got a shot on the outside. I just want you to say a prayer for him. I heard you praying that. Would you pray for him? All right. You sure? That's what you want? Yeah, no, I'm serious. Pray for him. So I said, come see me. So I laid hands on him. I put, now at the time, y'all, I was at Our Savior's Church. I was involved in all the stuff. I just wasn't living it. Like in here, I wasn't living it. Prayed for the dude. The next day, he had a miraculous turnaround. Apparently, he got shot in the stomach, and like some of the stuff inside of his intestines leaked inside of his thing. And it started to kill him. Yo, he had a miraculous turnaround. The next day, he had a miraculous turnaround. Come to find out, the guy that knocked out, this was his first cousin. After I prayed for him, he had a miraculous turnaround and said, hey, you keep praying for him, he gets out of this, I'm going to protect you. Nobody going to touch you here. Yo, it was at that moment. It took for me all of that. Now listen, I'm 34 years old. It took me to go to New Orleans in a prison cell for me to realize I need to submit. I need to stop it, because this is never going to be my weapon again. My weapon is going to be the Word of God. My weapon is going to be prayer. Yo, it took, I'm hard-headed. I will admit that. But for me to go on that journey, y'all, to the prison. So So I'm thinking, now they had put my name in the paper. Y'all, Delcombe's a small town. They put my name in the paper. They blasted me. My friends were saying, man, you saw Kern got arrested for stalking. I never left Delcombe. I never left Delcombe. I literally sent some love songs, y'all, but the police put stalking, all kind of other charges, 4 counts of violation of protective order, and that's called Gwynn's Law. That's for people that harass these girls where they have to like give them a 60 days to get out of town. So I was stuck in jail for 60 days, no matter what, in New Orleans prison. This was probably 7 days in, this very colorful thing that was happening to me. 7 days in, I started saying, okay, I'm gonna start praying at night. Everybody would go to bed, you had to get in your rack lights out. I started praying real loud in there. Praying, just chanting, singing some songs and stuff. 2, 3 guys start doing it. Next thing you know, long story short, y'all, we started having Bible studies in there. I led 17 men to Christ. I baptized them in the shower. That was my, like, literally. So now, my dad dies, okay? I go become a funeral director. I go to prison. I start saving people inside the jail. Now, I hadn't met Mr. Adley yet. Jude Darbone and I kind of met. We had the same past, very colorful past. And we kind of grew together. We both were in church at the same time. Both like, listen, my past is so close to me right now that if I turn around, it's going to slap me in the face. I got to put some distance and momentum in between me and my past. So every night of the week, the church was open. I was in the church. I was serving on this. Because I knew if I was at home, I was going back to that old lifestyle. Fast forward a little bit. I was on all kind of meds. Okay. At the time, the Holy Spirit kept telling me, because I knew like I was an athlete. And I was vaping at the time because I used to dip a lot. But the dip was eating away my teeth. So I got on my bike, y'all, and I'd ride 40 miles with a vape in my hand. Ride in one hand. That's how bad it was. I'm just being real with y'all. I want to know the ugly the journey. Okay? So I'm riding and vaping at the same time. Finally, till one day, I was right in the back of Bayou Take back there. Almost didn't hear me. I was riding on it, and I'm like, and I threw it over coolly into a ditch. Now I had to go all the way to Intra Costa City and then all the way back. That's 54 miles. So on my way back, don't you know I stopped right there? Like I stopped. And I like looked at all the mud and everything, and I'm in my cycle gear, and I'm thinking to myself, man, my car's that cool, you can just buy another one. I stopped again. I looked for a driveway. That's how powerful our habits are in our life. Wouldn't y'all agree? How many of y'all been fighting the same mess for a long time? Has it ever gone away? No, we learn to have self-control and manage that flesh issue, right? So that's, yo, what I'm going to here, y'all, there was a book called, by T.D. Jakes, something about the crushing curse. I don't know if y'all ever read that, but it basically flips the whole perspective of your faith. Basically, everything is opposite. So you get the cognitively reframe it, call it something different than what it is. So I'm not divorced, this is my desert season. I'm just in my desert season. When I went to jail, I'm not in jail, this is my boot camp. Y'all see where I'm going with it? However, this is gonna cause you to go back into your life and pull up those old files. Okay, stuff happened when you were a kid, you got bullied, your sister did X, Y, and Z, your cousin stole from you, your mama. Sometimes it's our moms and dads. You have to go back and address all of these files that were misfiled away in your life. Okay, where would Jesus be without Judas? Okay, where would King David be without Goliath? I think Goliath was created just for King David to smash him. Because even still King David, after he did that, he still had an affair. So, y'all, I believe firmly that every person in here has a gift within them. We are going from gratitude to the gift. Every person in this room has been gifted with something. And you're like, Kern, I can't teach. I can't write nothing. Y'all, I cheated my whole way through English. I write obituaries for a living now. You think God don't have a sense of humor? I can't. If you told me to spell restaurant, and like I'm gonna kill you if you don't spell restaurant, I'm done. I can't figure out the U and the H or in the middle, something, I'm done. I'm dead. Okay? So I know, why am I writing obituaries? And in front of, listen, I'm sitting at an office table full with a big 75-inch computer screen, and they're all watching me type, and I can't type, and I can't spell. So I just tell them right out the gate, listen, I'm from Delcombe, I can't spell, and I can't really type. So y'all just give me a little bit of grace, and they laugh, and it kind of breaks the thing, okay? And so I just want to share a little something, y'all, that I wrote about tying all that together. Okay, how do we tie together our pain and turn it into a purpose? And I know many people in here, like Pastor and I were talking, many people that have gone through that severe issue in their life has turned it into something amazing. Anybody else in here done something like that? Very foolish and flipped the whole script on it. Because y'all, that's what Jesus did. Jesus looked at death and called it life. Everything Jesus looked at, he called it as it was not. He called it as something else. So we can face the facts, but we only speak faith. And typically, it's the exact opposite of what we're thinking, right? So whatever Jesus thinks is the opposite. So we're going to kind of go into this, y'all, real quick. How much time I have, Dad? I'm good? Okay. So, y'all, this year makes 25 years that my father went home to be with the Lord from pancreatic cancer. The crushing of his death has blessed me with a career and amazing ministry to reach others that are grieving. The same part of your brain that responds to physical pain is the same part of your brain that responds to emotional pain. So your brain doesn't know whether you have a cut on your leg or a scar or something on your heart, okay? Because of this, doctors are writing me medications to internally numb my pain. Y'all, I was on Suboxone, Adderall, testosterone, Wellbutrin, and Klonopin. In my 30s, a healthy guy. Okay, why? Because you go to the doctor and they're just going to give it to you. Okay? Doctors write so I appeared to be a healthy man. I felt like I was dying on the inside with depression and drowning internally with severe pain in my chest. In this life, you will be crushed by failed experiences, crushed by loved ones dying, crushed by circumstances, crushed by medical issues, crushed by loved ones and friendships, crushed in your professional career, crushed in some of the decisions that you have to make. You will go through circumstantial crushings in order to receive your crown. The crushing is not a stage. It is a destination. Okay? Some people get so stuck in it, y'all, they never get out of it. Anybody ever been there? You have been crushed and you can't move on from the season that you're in. Unfortunately, in my own life and ministry, I have seen many make the crushing their address. They stop and they choose to live in the crushing and in the state of helplessness instead of moving forward into their calling and receiving their crown. I became a funeral director to get my crown. This career has blessed me more than words, y'all. But for a long time, I could not manage my own pain, okay? My life changed when I began cycling and running marathons to release the dopamine in my brain. We all have a pharmacy within us, y'all. And every one of us can release that. We just have to put in a little elbow grease. Or the doctor says, you want a pill? Or you want to work for it. Some of us just kind of get lazy and we don't want to work for it. Okay. Let us not focus on what's missing. Let us have the vision to see our crown. It's already there. Many of us have talents and resources that are being wasted because the crushing is stealing from our lives. So, Dad, it was your death that gave me life. I can see it now. But my God, at such a young age, I didn't know how to verbalize nor manage that level of pain. I found my way, Dad. I found my ministry. Thank you for gifting me with the crown of purpose that most will never discover. I love you, Dad. So last thing, y'all, real quick. Y'all know the story of Zacchaeus? Yeah? The wee little man that climbed the tree? Okay. Wee little man, Zacchaeus, was a tax collector. Okay? Just a sinner. Let's just call that as us being a sinner. Now, it says in here, a man that was there named Zacchaeus, he was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was. But because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. Anybody have physical limitations in here? Yeah, but Kern, I can't write this. I can't speak in front of people. I can't do this. I can't do that. So he ran and he climbed the sycamore fig tree to see him. It says Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up to him and said, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today. So he came down at once, welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and began to mutter, he's going to be the guest of a sinner. Like, can you imagine, y'all? You're doing everything right in the church. And then this little guy who's a tax collector climbs a tree, and Jesus calls him by name to come out of a tree. Okay? Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor. And I have cheated anybody out of anything. I will pay back 4 times the amount. Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house, because this man too, and I, son of Abraham, for this man came to seek and to save the lost. What happened, y'all? This little man with some kind of physical limitation, like each and every one of us in here, did something so bold to climb a tree. So he climbed a tree where he just stood out from the crowd. How many of us have been crying out and begging for God to do something for us? Y'all, what are you willing to do? What tree are you willing to climb to be that gift? To like go back and sort through something that's happened to you in your life, weaponize it, turn it into a testimony, and then give it back to the world. How bold are you? Because every one of us in this room is a minister. Some people are like, Kern, I'm not good at anything. I just cook. Y'all, that's all Jesus did, was eat around a table full of food. If you can cook and you haven't had your kids over in a long time for Christmas, I encourage you to do it. Order the food, whatever it is, y'all, because there's something about sitting down and fellowshipping around a table with a meal with your kids. That is irreplaceable. Y'all, as a minister of Christ and a funeral director, I get the call when they have stage 4 cancer. Kern, you want to come pray with me? I don't care how expensive they are, how rich or poor they are, y'all. None of them is worried about a material thing in the world. They want to know where their kids are. They want to know all the things that matter the most. I get a glimpse, y'all, to see as a funeral director, people at their most vulnerable state. Like flag football games stop, cheer stops, all the things stop. Because this is what matters. Families coming in, we got to plan this whole week right here. This is something tragic. Why do we have to wait until something tragic happens with y'all? Why do we have to wait until that moment to start to discover those things within our family, that we have a strength in numbers? Even just sitting in the house watching football with our family, y'all. So some of us in this room have been bitter with family members for a long time. Okay? I'm asking y'all, as a courtesy, as homework, I'd like you to do one random act of kindness in that person's name. Who's the enemy? Jesus says, bless your enemy. Okay? That means speak well of. How can we bless those who have persecuted us? Can we look at this season and be different? As a gift, number one, to someone who's hurting, and then also to open our table to somebody who maybe hadn't been there in a while. Okay? So thank y'all so much for letting me share. Wow. God bless y'all.
Good job. Appreciate it. Let's break the trend a little bit, and maybe ask Katie to come up and